Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TV-11 News at Noon. I'm Rolly Hoyt in for Michael Aaron, who has the week off. It is the first day of fall. Everybody bundle up with your sweaters. Nathan Scott, what are you doing?
It's not fall just yet, Rolly.
Of course,
we still have
Nathan.
2.5 hours to go before the autumnal equinox takes place. So this is not a fashion faux pas just yet. But after 3 o'clock, don't worry, I brought the sweater for the 6 o'clock news. It felt like fall out there this morning, though. Were you up early?
I was not able to get out there. As soon as I got out, I had the coat on. I'd been warned, and I'm thinking I want to go play golf. But now you're telling me it's looking on the warm side so far.
I mean, it's beautiful out here right now, TV-11 Weather Guard, but we start off the day on the cool side. Jacket weather for some folks. Look at these numbers. We start off the day into the mid to upper 50s. Look at Fayetteville. They dropped down to 44 this morning. So yes, a taste of fall was in the air, and tomorrow mornings will be even cooler. Visible satellite, lots of sun, just a few cumulus clouds bubbling up with the daytime heating. But visible satellite with the sun, we're heating things up a little bit faster than what I expected. Temperatures already into the mid 70s across most of central Arkansas. But here's what you also feel. It's not just the cooler temperatures. We've gotten rid of that humidity. Dew points are about 15 to as much as 30 degrees lower than what we saw this time yesterday. And look at the winds. We've got that breeze kicking in from the northwest about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Today's highs, I think upper 70s. There could be some low 80s, especially with all this sun. But overall, it's a gorgeous day. And this nice weather, I'll let you know how long it's going to stick around and our next best chance of rain coming up.
All right, Nathan, thanks so much. We continue to follow the developments in a fire that tore through a Little Rock recycling center yesterday evening. A live look at the tower cam of what is left of this facility. TH11's Ian Russell has the latest on this ongoing situation.
And we're here at Goldman Recycling here on 14th Street, and this is where that fire broke out right around 5 p.m. last night. Our crews have been here all night and day working on this, trying to put it out. But I want to start with the big thing, and that's thankfully no one was hurt in this, but the building was fully engulfed. That's according to LRFD. Now, it's kind of hard to imagine how large this fire looked yesterday. LRFD says a huge plume of thick black smoke was here when they showed up yesterday. Now, there were a couple things that made this fire just a little bit harder to work with. A spokesperson for LRFD says propane tanks were something they had to watch out for to keep their crews safe. And keep in mind, this is a recycling center, so burning plastic is something they've been keeping an eye on. Of course, that's not something that's safe to breathe. Now, a spokesperson for the department says multiple trucks and crews were here fighting this fire.
The building was large square footage, fully involved and starting to collapse. And we were also having propane bottles exploding when units arrived. So they set up defensively, started master streams, putting lots of water on it to cool it off and put it out.
And again, crews have been out here since yesterday evening working on making sure this fire is completely out, and they'll continue being here as long as they need to. In Little Rock, I'm Ian Russell, THV 11 News.
Thank you, Ian. We'll have more on the fire and the investigation now coming up tonight on THV 11 News at 5 and 6. And you can also get the latest on thv-at-noon.com. President Biden just kicked off a virtual global vaccination summit at the White House. Natalie Brand tells us that world leaders and nonprofit organizations are working to vaccinate 70% of the global population within the next year.
President Biden has announced the U.S. is doubling its purchase of Pfizer's COVID-19 shots to more than 1 billion doses to share with the world.
For every one shot we've administered to date in America, we have now committed to do 3 shots to the rest of the world.
The announcement follows the theme of global cooperation that he put forward in his speech to the UN General Assembly. The new vaccine donation works toward the ambitious goal of vaccinating 70% of the world population. But currently, only 43% of people globally have received a shot. President Biden is also pressing other wealthy countries to do more.
This is an all-hands-on-deck crisis.
The global push comes as the U.S. faces some criticism from groups such as the World Health Organization for planning a vaccine booster campaign, while many people in poorer nations have not yet received one dose. In fact, the FDA is preparing to announce plans for a Pfizer booster as early as today. Last week, an FDA advisory committee recommended a 3rd dose for older Americans 65 and up, as well as those at high risk. A CDC advisory committee is meeting today to begin its debate of next steps for boosters.
Given the types of immune responses we're seeing here, as well as the real-world evidence, this bodes well for the vaccine to provide substantial benefit to those individuals that are boosted.
Health officials must also determine what to tell Americans who receive Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines, since the current discussions focus only on Pfizer. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
More from the CDC. They say more than half of teens are now fully vaccinated, but the average pace of first doses in the U.S. is slowing down. Back here at home, we are waiting to see if the number of COVID patients in the hospital remains below 1,000. We had 993 people getting treated yesterday, and that's our lowest amount since July 26th, and only our second time dipping below 1,000 COVID hospitalizations since that day as well. 270 of them are on ventilators. New cases kept going down, about 1,400 more reported, and that's a smaller jump than the one that we saw last Tuesday. 14,225 cases are active right now. We haven't had a number that low since late July. And we're starting to see the same trends in schools. Every district in the state now has fewer than 100 active cases. Pulaski County Special School District, their COVID-19 cases downward trending, mirroring many places that we're seeing across central Arkansas. At its peak, the district had 63 positive cases. That number dropped to 35 the week after, and now PCSSD is at its lowest case number yet at 27. Administrators there say there is a trend with the cases as well.
Those cases that we have seen, the majority of them have either been in the elementary schools where students are not vaccinated, or athletic cheer activity type teams.
The state reported 2,800 active cases in public schools. That's half of what it was at the peak about 3 weeks ago. While these numbers are encouraging, the folks who at HCHI who track all of this, they say it's important that schools continue to keep up the guard. But we don't just need to keep our guards up when it comes to COVID. Health officials are urging people to do their part in stopping the spread of the flu as well. But with the pandemic still very much a part of our lives, people have a lot of questions when it comes to battling both. So we're verifying some of the information for you this afternoon.
It's important that we have accurate information. So let's verify some fast facts about the flu. Our sources are this panel of health experts and top scientific organizations. First, let's answer this. Is there a best time to get the flu shot? Our experts say that the answer is yes. The best time to get the shot is before the end of October, because that's usually when flu season starts to pick up. Let's move on to our next question. Is it true that getting the flu shot can cause a positive COVID test? And this one is false. Here's how our experts explain it. The flu shot causes your body's immune system to make antibodies that protect you from influenza. Those antibodies are completely different from the ones that you would have if you were fighting COVID-19. And COVID tests look for genetic makeup unique to SARS-CoV-2, not the flu. Bottom line, having flu antibodies will not cause you to test positive for COVID-19. And let's move on to our last question. Can you get your flu shot and a COVID booster shot at the same time? Our experts say that there isn't a lot of research, but early data says that the answer is yes. Take it from Johns Hopkins professor, Dr. Anna Durbin.
I'm very convinced that it's very safe to give these vaccines either at the same time or within days of one another. It's unlikely that it's going to affect the immunogenicity or the protective effectiveness of either of these vaccines.
With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Pig Suey!
Sports, and for many here in Arkansas, the Razorbacks, they've always been such a unifying thing, whether the team is winning or losing. But no matter what happens, you'll always be a fan, right? But why is that? We caught up with some of the biggest Hog fans we know to find out.
And it's like good old times. It's a bond that very few things in this world can give you. And that's something special to have.
You just don't give it up that easily around things that you care about. That's what we're learning from the experts and from Hog fans as well. It's all about loyalty. Dr. Howard Turney is a professor at UA Little Rock specializing in social work, and he says giving up on something is hard, especially when you grew up with it.
That collective memory of that we have with our fellow man that connects us in a real special way.
And Dr. Turney says even at the worst of times, those losses feel a lot easier when everyone around you is dealing with the same thing. And don't forget, Arkansas is taking on Texas A&M this Saturday. It's happening right here on THV 11. But that's not all. We're going to get you ready for the action with special team coverage and a rally on the road. It all starts Friday morning on Wake Up Central. Hayden Balgavy will be live in Arlington, Texas. Later that night, be sure to watch a live special edition of Hog Zone. Don't miss all of that Friday night at 6:30.